So for this specific project, I'm going more for consistency between the types. In general, for the project concept that I have with this application, I like the idea of having an auto-increment ID because I don't believe server for server or database for database I'm necessarily going to have that many projects. And sometimes it can be more convenient to refer to a project by a consistent, easy to recognize numeric ID just when communicating within the team, because you can use that ID as an identifier for that project pretty easily. But, magic numbers aren't necessarily the best way to represent a concept amongst team members, so, you don't necessarily need to have an auto-incrementing ID. I also need to be mindful just with these, with the ways that I'm approaching this. I need to be mindful that if I'm adding a lot of different rows, it might be more performant for me to have an ID that's an integer instead of a string. So I'm replacing the project ID oops. I'm replacing the project ID with a string, so I'm going to be a little bit more consistent with the other data types. Faster way would probably be to grep references. Oh, wait. So I guess I'm going to replace all of these IDs with CUIDs. I don't know if I need to have this be unique. It's very unlikely that generating a CUID would create a collision, and having a unique constraint on that field would probably make the database slower. But, I don't really care for that to be treated like an integer ever. I'm casting it. Do I ever need to use integers? Probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a grep on string any number of spaces id at default dot plus, and then replace that with unique. So right now this is basically only unique because I don't want to think about it. Performance is something that I would have to consider in the future, like if I were actually implementing this. And there are a few other security goals that I would want to mind. We'll talk about a little bit later. For now, px Prisma format. That'll work for now. So in these cases, actually, I think npx Prisma generate is the next thing to do. So here I'm going to replace ID with ID So that's simple enough. I don't have to migrate the database. We should be closer to being synchronized across the types